Hey gang, it's me, Katie Darrell, and today we are at home and social with Vance Joy. Hey there, dude.
Hey, Katie, thanks for having me.
Well, I am happy to have you here, and I just want to make sure that I'm referring to you properly. Do you want me to call you Vance Joy, or should I be calling you by James? There's an AKA situation going on here.
Well, I guess we're just hanging out, so you can definitely call me James. But yeah, I guess when I'm at a radio station or something and doing some promo, just to make just to not confuse people, I go with Vance. But yeah, James is fine.
Well, listen, everyone has fallen in love with the music from Vance Joy, so maybe I'm going to keep it in that way. But let's talk about the persona. You know, you do have a stage name. You do have a persona. Are you able to turn it on and off, or what you see on stage is exactly what happens when someone's hanging out with you in a hotel room?
You know what? It's funny. Like I feel like there are obviously some legendary artists that had the stage name, and it was such an important part of their transformation that they would become a different person. But for me, I think me and Vance Joy is very similar. I think the person you see on stage and the person I am in a hotel room or whatever hanging out is very much the same person. And I think yeah, I'm not. I've done a little bit of acting in my film clips, but even then, I feel like I'm just being myself. So it's always the same kind of persona for me.
So then maybe to us commoners, it would be the equivalent of a nickname, right? When
The
someone
nickname.
That's fantastic. All right. So Vance Joy, the new album, it's a good one. All right. In Our Own Sweet Time. It's a great title. It's really, it draws you in. It makes you want to listen. The process was interesting because like a lot of things that have been coming out recently, it involves Zoom. Take me through this writing process.
Yeah, it's you know what? We had to adapt because usually when I'm songwriting, I'm traveling around, I would stay, in Venice Beach. I would get an Airbnb, I'd get a car, and I'd hire a car and drive down to my friend Dave Bassett's house in Malibu, and we'd write songs together. And it was a really nice routine. And I did that for my second album, and I loved that routine. But when COVID happened, it just totally went out the window. And kind of, I'm grateful for that a little bit because it made me sit at home in Melbourne and write songs. I had to really just think, okay, well, I'm here by myself. I'm going to write some songs on my own now and just see what comes out, and also just, yeah, I don't know, become a bit more in touch with what was going on. And so I wrote a few songs on my piano at home, and that was a really cool experience. And then eventually, I got a bit restless and I wanted to collaborate again. And my managers told me, people are doing Zoom songwriting, and I was like, all right, I don't know how like eager I am to get on Zoom and songwrite, especially because there's a lag. And I
Yeah.
I guess like everyone, it's not always the most fun being on Zoom. When if you're there for 3 hours or something, it seems like that could be torturous. But I called up Dave, we got on Zoom and we wrote a few songs, and it actually felt very similar to just being in the room together. And surprisingly possible to make a good song just going back and forth on Zoom. So that's like 10 of these songs from this album. There's 12 songs, 10 of them are Zoom babies.
Zoom Babies. Ew. That's like a name of a great band, though. Zoom Babies.
Zoom
Next
babies.
up on the main stage. The
Exactly. You'll know if you ever see Zoom babies, you'll know that I'll be in there somewhere.
In Our Own Sweet Time is the new Vance Joy album, and the single that's on its way for you right now is Clarity. Now, when you're watching this music video, it does say based on a true story. What exactly does that mean? The video, the song, all of the above?
It's funny. Yeah, a couple of people ask me, what's going on with this true story thing. I think that was a very creative decision by the directors to draw people in, but I have never had the experience. Usually, honestly, because the film clip shows me and the leading actress in the film clip kind of not having a very strong connection, and I decide to kind of, replace myself with someone else who she's clearly got a better connection with, which turns out to be the lighting guy on the set. But for me, I love being in film clips. Usually, when you're on set with a beautiful actress, I'm like excited to be there to be doing scenes with them. So that part of it isn't a true story, but I do feel like it captures that feeling of nervousness before a film clip. And even on that day, I didn't have to act that much. They were like, okay, we're going to get you to do this and this, and like, look over there, and this is your motivation. And I was like, wow, I'm not an actor. Like, this is not my comfort zone, And so it was very maybe it was easy for me to just to portray that kind of character because that's what was happening in that moment.
You mentioned the nerves of shooting a music video and, leading up to it. Are those the same type of nerves you would have in your dating life?
Oh, depends who the person is you're going out with. I think I've had moments of kind of being nervous and feel like I'm performing, or at least thinking about what I'm saying. And even if you think it's great, you can still be slightly. Well, I've been in that situation where you're kind of a little on edge, and and then maybe you see a different person. If I think about my current girlfriend, it's just been easy and relaxed, and I was never kind of worrying about what was my next move, or what thing am I saying next, what's the plan for the evening or the date, or where are we going next, how am I going to keep this, whatever. It was very easy. So I think those nerves kind of, I think, really dependent on the chemistry.
In Our Own Sweet Time is the new album from Vance Joy. There's a lot of tour dates ahead of you. There's some European dates. There's a lot of Australia going on. What do you eat out on the road? How do you keep it fit?
Wow. You know what? I've been, it's funny because I feel like the healthiest times in my life are usually when I'm on the road, because, right now I'm with the band. We're staying in an Airbnb just near the rehearsal studio. And where I don't know, it's kind of like everyone gets a little bit, not pressured, but inspired, let's say. You go outside into the house and someone will be stretching, someone will be doing like some kind of workout, and you're like, okay, I better do something. And like everyone's trying to eat healthy. The pressure, it's the pressure. So everyone's kind of, it becomes like not a fitness camp, but everyone's a little bit more well behaved. So yeah, at the moment I'm just trying to eat lots of fruit, lots of avocados, and just like lots of bananas and stuff like that. I think you can eat like 3 bananas in a day before it's too many. There's something like that. Everyone has a different theory on how many you can eat, but that's my fuel.
When, like I mentioned, you do have some dates coming up in Australia, actually more than just some, you have a ton. What is it like playing back in Australia versus doing the US tour? Is there a home court advantage?
I think there's a home court advantage. I mean, not honestly, I feel like some of my fans in North America are, I think I have like most of my fans are over here. And the shows are always awesome, and people are so, excited and kind of like, into it. But I would say the only thing that happens when I go to Australia is I probably and maybe I'm doing it now, but I mumble a little bit more, and my mumbling quick Australian like slang isn't lost on people. So I definitely, maybe I just try and slow down a little bit and communicate a little bit more clearly, because when you talk in an Australian slang, it becomes a bit like hard to follow.
Clarity is the new single from Vance Joy. The single prior to this was Missing Piece. I want to talk about streaming, okay, and the importance of streaming right now, because that song you licensed, I believe it was on Grey's Anatomy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the power of licensing is good. It's really good. Is it a little bit better than touring, might I say? Do you ever look and say, maybe I just license and stay at home and not do this touring thing?
Katie, you're on it. You're onto it. Like, it depends who the artist is, but I definitely have that thought sometimes. Depends. Like, I think it depends what kind of artist you are, and where you find where your main income is, and what your strength is. And for me, I think, we definitely love touring, and I feel like we've got a really good live show that we're rehearsing now, and it's going to be great. But some artists are like live bands, like their fans are like rabid, and they're like follow them everywhere, and it's like Grateful Dead kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I think it depends where you lie. But for me, I think I foresee a future where, I'll be, have a little home studio, and I'm writing songs, and maybe can keep it going and keep making a living through things like licensing, because last 2 years I enjoyed being at home as well. I love touring, but I wasn't like, I need to be back on the road. I think I adapted pretty quickly.
I think we all fell in love with our pajamas the last 2 years. So maybe if it was the pajama tour, we'd all sign up for it.
I know.
In Our Own Sweet Time is the new album from Vance Joy. Now, before this album, a lot was happening. Obviously, this is your third album. After your second album, I believe you were touring with Pink. Big star, big deal.
Yeah.
What did you learn from being out on tour with Pink?
Wow. I learned a lot. It was a great opportunity, and it came along at such a nice time because we'd done, a bunch of touring for my second album in 2018. And on my first album, I got to open for Taylor Swift, and that was, we did a tour of America, 80 shows with Taylor, which was really cool. But it was also scary, and I remember it was kind of early days for me, and I don't know how like ready I was. Oh, I was ready, but I also found it like I had a lot of learning to do on that tour about just feeling comfortable on stage. When it got to Pink, I felt really much more comfortable and relaxed having done that tour. And she has such an incredible show. She's such a humble, kind person, and that energy filters through the whole tour. Her whole crew, the dancers, the band. I mean, every single person is just, I feel like, on that wavelength. And so, we were just enjoying life so much. Her catering is amazing. So the band was so stoked. I was just talking to Kelly, the trumpet player, and she's like, "Man, that Caesar salad." She was just like having like a flashback, and she's like, "Man," she'd eat one, and then she'd take a little one for takeaway and put it in the fridge in the hotel room. So I mean, I think we had days off in summertime in Europe. It was amazing, and Pink is just wow, what an inspiring person. Her performance was incredible. She'd fly around on stage, sing perfectly. I don't know, just a really cool person. I think I was inspired by her artistry, but also just by how she is as a person.
You mentioned that Pink, she flies around on stage. She does all these aerial acrobats. Did you ever try the aerial acrobat stuff? Did you say, "Can I get up there?"
I was like, "Can you guys strap me in?" No, I think I'm sure they could like maybe just like change the bearing so that they could carry like a 90-kilogram guy instead of Pink. But it's scary. Like I watched her fly. Like she flew at Wembley Stadium. She flew from the stage to like 10 meters from the very back, like the very back of Wembley Stadium. She flew hundreds of meters in the air, like doing flips. So I wasn't in a rush to try that. And also, I don't even know how you can sing and do that. So yeah, I kind of, I know my limitations, I think, as an artist, and I know that I'm keeping the feet on the ground.
That was a skill set that I think started out kind of as a hobby for Pink, and obviously she became an expert at it. What about you? What are your hobbies?
Hobbies? Well, at the moment, I mean, what are my hobbies? I went through a skateboarding phase for about 3 years, and that's kind of getting back into that now. I realize it kind of goes hand in hand with touring because you got a bit of time to kill. And then yeah, so I became kind of obsessed with skateboarding for 3 years, and I was that kind of goofy guy, 30-year-old guy at the skate park talking to like the kids and asking them how to teach me how to do a kickflip. But I made a bit of progress, so I don't know. I feel like it kept me fit and at least young in attitude.
In Our Own Sweet Time is the new album from Vance Joy, third album. Congratulations. You work with writing partners. How do you determine who steers the ship?
It's a good question because um, I'm not like a making orders kind of boss type at all. I'm pretty chilled, and so I like it to be pretty even, I think. And when I work with my mate Dave Bassett, it's I feel like it's pretty even. Um, and some days he steers, and some days he has like a very clear idea of the song he wants to write, and he might even have a structure already like in mind. And then I kind of go along for the ride, and and it might just be that he needs like the lyrical content a little bit, and maybe a few ideas here and there. And that's worked really well sometimes. I've kind of I've found that I can just step back and let him kind of steer it, and reserve judgment until like we hear the demo later, and then be like, wow, this is great. Like I didn't know what we were onto, but it's special now. And then other times it's very much like I'll bring some guitar riffs, some melodies, and then we'll stitch it together, and yeah, he's I find that is a nice balance. I like to be able to contribute a lot of the lyrics myself, and have like a very clear sense of my own DNA in the song. I feel like when I write with someone and it's like all their melodies, they're kind of putting all the lyrics in there, and my ideas aren't getting through. It's like even if the song is kind of decent in some way, it won't feel like me. So I'll listen back to the song and be like, this is a good song, but when I sing that line, it's not a line I would say. So I can't sing this song. So it's always better off to just find find some of myself in the song.
One of the songs that really put you at the forefront of the music industry and had people falling in love with you. For those of you just tuning in, I'm Katie Darrell. He's Vance Joy. The song Riptide, 2013. Do you still enjoy performing that the way you did in the beginning, or does it feel like homework?
That's good. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's homework, especially because I haven't changed the key. So especially when I look at some of the songs I sang in my first EP and first album, I was really, they were up there, you know, and even I feel like my voice is stronger now, and it's probably easy for me to get to those notes, but I was really kind of like finding, and there's something cool about pushing yourself to your limit. So when I do that song, like say 9 a.m. For a promotion, something like that, I'm like, oh, you know, I might not be like in the song, like, you know, but I still find enjoyment singing it. Like, even if it's like 9 a.m. and I'm playing in like a coffee shop for a radio station, there's still something to be enjoyed there, because I feel I'm obviously proud of the song, and it's done so much. And people enjoy it. And so when people enjoy your music, I want to play the songs that people really like. So
The song mentions it name checks Michelle Pfeiffer.
yeah.
Did you legit have like a crush on Michelle Pfeiffer growing up, or did that name just fit into the song better than Cindy Crawford or something?
Yeah, no, I did. I definitely had a crush on her, and it was, I think I watched Batman Returns a lot as a kid. I remember getting like a double VHS for Christmas at a family Christmas, and I was super excited. And I watched Batman and Batman Returns so many times, and her Catwoman is like, come on, it's incredible, and she's so amazing in some of these scenes. So it must have left an indelible imprint on my mind, especially as a young kid. So there was no, it was a bit of a stream of consciousness moment writing the song, but it also makes sense to me that she was the one that came to mind when I think of like a movie star, someone that's like destined to be on the screen. It was her.
This new album, In Our Own Sweet Time, what's the best time for someone to pop this in and give it a perfect listen? What should be the mood? Should we have candles going and a glass of wine, or put it on our jogging mix? Where do you want people to experience this?
I think of like, I don't know. I think I like driving, listening to music. I feel like when I listen to my own demos, it doesn't have to be driving, it could be walking or something, but there's something nice about movement when you're listening to music. So I like listening to, maybe you're on a bike or you're walking or you're driving, but there's something cool about listening to the song and then seeing things moving in front of you. I always feel like if I have a demo and I'm listening to it, and I kind of see how that song reacts with what I'm seeing, and the movement in front of me, it might be like other cars, or it might be people or something, but there's something nice about that interaction. So I'd say get on a bike or walk, or get in your car and give it a spin.
And the latest single, Clarity, what mood does it put you in?
It's pretty upbeat. I would say I think it's a fun, lighthearted song. I mean, there's some heart in there, but it's also a fun kind of jam. So it makes me feel chill and relaxed and happy. So I hope that people feel the same way when they hear it.
Vance Joy, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Be safe out there on the road, and have a good time.
Thank you, Katie. What a pleasure.
Hey there, thanks for watching AXS TV. Subscribe, follow, like, and do all the good stuff. And make sure you leave a comment below. I don't know, just let us know what your favorite AXS TV show is, or who your favorite bands are, and what artists you're into, or just say hi, man. I'd like to be told hi. We love hearing from you. That's the point, all right? Keep it coming.